New efforts to help artists get noticed and get jobs on stage as well as on the canvas. The 5-year master plan also wants the community to get more involved in the arts.
Well, for more on how partnerships can play a part, we have Clarence Chan. He is the founder of music and entertainment media company Bandwagon, and Angeline Poh, Chief Customer and Corporate Development Officer at Mediacorp. First, Angeline, perhaps to you. NAC will be partnering with Mediacorp to celebrate as well as amplify the arts and the culture content. How does this differ to or add to the current stable that Mediacorp already has?
Right. So Mediacorp is Singapore's national media network, and in that role, we are probably one of the biggest champions of local culture, story, and we're already bringing a lot of arts and heritage to the screens and to entertain Singaporeans with. So I think with this partnership with NAC, it just enables us to do a lot more in a more systematic, bigger scale way.
All right, I will pick up on that and get you to expand on it. Do a lot more in a far more systematic way. So, and obvious, even for someone like me, obvious to me. So, Singapore's national media company, it's a platform. It brings anything that you do on the national media company will mean many more eyeballs looking at it. But specifically, how will you work together to ensure that both benefit from this?
So I think the walls or the borders between arts and media are very porous. So the talent actually move between the two sectors pretty freely. And we've already seen a lot of collaboration across these two segments. For example, if you recall Last Madame, which was a groundbreaking series that we launched in 2019, and we just did the sequel this year. I think very few people know that the story was written by Angeline Poh, a local writer who authored the Diary of Amos Lee, right, children's books. But she also crossed over and did this piece with us. And then this year, we also did the sequel to Tito Tao, which is actually a screen adaptation of a stage play by Toy Factory, right, Goh Boon Teck's company. So there are already these crossovers that happen. And I think with the partnership with NAC, we would be able to create a platform for more of these stories from the arts to inspire content for media. We also provide a physical stage for local performers, musicians to really reach a wider audience in Singapore so that there's greater awareness of their works and their creativity. Just take the upcoming performance, the Sound of Home gig at Clarke Quay on the 15th of September. It's really a stage that we're creating for Singaporean musicians like Iman Fandi, Alif, Jasmine Soko, to reach out to the local population and really have people appreciate their music and their songs.
All right, speaking of music, reaching out and getting people to appreciate what we are, it's time to bring you in, Clarence. Now, you are founder of music and entertainment media company Bandwagon.
That's right.
And you are partnering NAC and SMRT to produce, you were explaining earlier, but you need to explain again, Heart S65 and the also I Play SG Music campaign. Is this hard to do? And why are you doing it?
Well, I think it's definitely a must-do. Well, Here 65 is the digital home for Singaporean music. So what we do is make it easy for people to discover our Singaporean artists. Yeah, so we've been very faithfully, weekly cataloguing all the music that we have. And we're very proud to actually tell the world that we actually have over 7,000 albums that have been catalogued on our platform from over 3,000 unique artists. So it's a lot of music that most people don't really think of. And the whole idea of Here 65 was to help the people to discover and embrace Singaporean music. So in 2021, what happened was we actually did a music survey. We wanted to find out what would change the perception of people towards Singapore music. So we let a whole bunch of people sample the music. And what we found was that there was a 55% positive perception changed after they listened to the music. So what that showed us was it's actually an exposure issue that Singapore music faces. It's not necessarily a lack of quality or a wrong language.
We always look down on ourselves. We think what other people do is fantastic.
And sometimes we like what's familiar. Like we all know Taylor Swift because we hear it on the radio, on Mediacorp radio maybe all the time, but maybe lesser so the Singaporean artists. So what we did was to think about how we can increase the touch points. But unfortunately, you know, like changing the YouTube algorithm or Spotify is not so easy. But what we can do is public spaces. And so that's where iPlay SG Music came about. And that's where this collaboration with one of the largest transport networks, SMRT, came about.
Train, bus stations.
That's right.
So we're going to expect to hear all that now.
Yep.
But there's even something more exciting that's up your sleeves, because you're co-creating with partners to develop pilots for art experiences in the metaverse.
Yep.
Okay, so tell us a bit, why the metaverse? Why is that so important to artists, and what exactly can we expect?
Yeah, so the metaverse is really a new platform. It's a
Yeah.
whole new domain for artists to express themselves, where they can be anything they want. They don't have to be bound to their physical form, right? And fans can come in anything they like. So this all started during COVID, where we were looking at what's the next big platform which will reach a tipping point soon, an inflection point. And we found that the metaverse is really a great place. So we started trialing out with the concerts, about 12 of them last year. And what we found was that we get a really international audience, people from all walks of life at different time zones who just come in and they encounter the music. And what's cool is that we also have digital tokens in the mix. That makes the metaverse really cool, where people can collect like a digital ticket, which they can exchange for merch, or they can exchange for token-gated access to get to know the artist better. Yeah, so these are some things that the metaverse will ensue. And also things like augmented reality, virtual reality, these are all going to be the future of how we encounter entertainment. And that's why the metaverse is so important.
All right, a final question, and this is for both of you, but Clarence can can answer first, and then Angeline after that. Now you're talking about this study you did. You said after exposure, 55% had positive feedback. I mean, I don't know how this was actually conducted and how accurate any of this is, but essentially, whatever you do, it has to get that increase in support from the public, or nothing can be sustained. You can virtual reality all you want,
That's right.
but if it's no good, people don't like it. It's just not going to fly.
That's right.
How are you going to encourage the people to continue to stay invested in something that they genuinely like and are not just told to like? Clarence, you and then.
Yeah, that's a great question. So I think the artist and the audience have to come together, both need each other. So on the creators end is how do we inspire creators to continue creating? And I think platforms that Angeline just talked about are really precious. At the same time, how do we cultivate the audience as well? So I think on one hand, it's like the touch points that they have to listen to music. And I think like social media has a great role to play as well, where it's audio paired with video as well. And that's why you see many artists now using this domain, coming up with different range of content. And it's a way of expressing themselves and even collaborating across countries as well. That's what we're seeing many artists do, to collaborate with people with different fan bases so that there can be cross-pollination between the different kinds of genres and even different kinds of languages as well.
All right, Angeline, you get the last say on this.
I think it's really about creating more awareness of what's out there in the local arts scene and allowing people to sample different art forms and really discover what they like and maybe be surprised and very pleasantly surprised by what's out there. So I think what we're trying to do is not just present art in its pure form to a mainstream audience, but also do adaptations and collaborations and crossovers, and that may make it more palatable for a mainstream audience that's willing to sample, and then we build from there.
Well, wish both of you the best of luck. Your passion is clearly catchy. Well, I've been speaking there with Clarence Chan, founder of music and entertainment media company Bandwagon, as well as Angeline Poh, Chief Customer and Corporate Development Officer at Mediacorp.